Before the Panama Canal, ships traveling between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans had to make a dangerous journey around the southern tip of South America. It could add thousands of miles to a journey. And for ships carrying valuable cargo, every extra mile meant more time, more fuel, and more cost. Then America decided to build something that seemed almost impossible: a canal across Panama.
The idea of connecting the Atlantic and Pacific was not new. For centuries, explorers and merchants dreamed of finding a shorter route between the two oceans. The problem was that the two oceans were close on a map, but reaching them through Panama was anything but simple. The land was covered by dense jungle, steep terrain, rivers, and heavy rainfall. Engineers would have to cut through mountains, control massive amounts of water, and create a route large enough for ocean-going ships. Building a canal there would require enormous amounts of money, engineering, and human labor. America was not the first country to attempt the project. France began construction in the late 19th century, led by Ferdinand de Lesseps. De Lesseps had already gained fame for building the Suez Canal in Egypt. But Panama was a completely different challenge. The terrain was far more difficult, and tropical diseases devastated the workforce. Thousands of workers died from disease, especially malaria and yellow fever. At the same time, the project faced enormous financial and engineering problems. Eventually, the French effort collapsed. For the United States, however, the canal was becoming more important than ever. America had already become a major industrial and naval power. But its geography created a serious problem. A warship or commercial vessel on the Atlantic side could not quickly reach the Pacific side without making the long journey around South America. The United States wanted faster access between its Atlantic and Pacific coasts. It also wanted greater access to trade routes across the Pacific. And there was another reason: military power. A canal would allow American warships to move between the two oceans much faster. In other words, the canal was not just about saving distance. It was about giving the United States greater strategic mobility. But there was a major political problem. At the time, Panama was part of Colombia. The United States wanted control of the canal zone, but negotiations with Colombia failed. Washington believed the location was too strategically important to ignore. Without an agreement with Colombia, however, the canal project was stuck. Then, in 1903, Panama declared independence from Colombia. Soon afterward, the United States signed an agreement giving it control over the Panama Canal Zone. Construction could finally move forward. But taking control of the project was only the beginning. American engineers now had to solve the problems that had defeated the French. One of the biggest challenges was disease. Efforts to control mosquitoes and improve sanitation dramatically changed conditions for workers. Engineers also changed the approach to the canal itself. Instead of simply cutting one enormous channel through the land, they built a system of locks that could raise and lower ships. It was an enormous engineering undertaking. After years of construction, the Panama Canal opened in 1914. Ships no longer had to make the huge detour around South America to move between the Atlantic and Pacific. A voyage that once required a massive journey around Cape Horn could now pass through a single strategic waterway. For shipping companies, that meant shorter routes, less time at sea, and lower costs. For the American Navy, it meant something equally important. Ships could move between oceans far more efficiently. The canal transformed global shipping, and its importance went far beyond Panama itself.
So why did America build the Panama Canal? Because it wanted something more than a shortcut. The canal meant faster trade, faster travel, and greater military mobility. It connected two oceans and gave the United States a powerful strategic advantage. And in the process, Panama became one of the most strategically important places in the world. What once seemed almost impossible had become one of the most important waterways on Earth, a shortcut that changed global trade forever.